Hello guys, Craig from Fix It Fellows, and again I'm back in the Mercedes Vito W639, and once again I'm looking at the dashboard blower. It's working, but it's making a squealing and squeaking sound, which makes me think that the bearing or bushing on the spindle of the motor is getting dry. Also, I'm noticing a bit of a strange smell, so maybe it's getting, maybe the bushing bearing is seizing and getting very hot and creating smell. So let's take a look, let's delve into the dashboard. Right, so if I put the ignition on and turn the blower on, have a look. Right, so we need to take out these two grommets here, and there's two Torx heads there. T25s? Yeah, T25s. Okay, then the tray lifts and slides forwards. There is a wire attached to it at the back there. Okay, so that gives us access into here. Now I've taken my heater control relay out. So there was a plug on the side, you disconnect that. It may or may not be screwed in there, and there's two plastic clips and this comes out. Now this is showing me something rather alarming, and it's that it's been heating up and starting to melt the casing. Okay, now the reason why that's doing that is because you can reach in here into where the fan blades are for the blower, and I'm rotating it and it's quite stiff. Yeah, it's quite stiff, that, so that's putting pressure on all the system. Now ordinarily this would have blown already because it's got a thermostatic fuse in there. Okay, but I'd bypassed the thermostatic fuse with a hard wire, and hence this thing just gets warmer and warmer and warmer as the strain gets greater. That's why the thermostatic fuse is there. Okay, so if you're blowing relays, it's probably because either the blower motor is getting stiff, or your cabin filter, which is accessible from the outside just above the bonnet through the cowling, is blocked, and that the motor is trying to suck air through a blocked filter. That puts strain on the electrics, which would normally blow the thermal fuse in there. That's why these things stop working. But I bypassed my thermal fuse, so it has kept on working irrespective. And there's evidence as to why the thermal fuse is actually there. Right, let's get this motor actually out of here. To do that, there's a second power coupling that goes direct to the motor. See, it's come out there. And then you just have to unclip this wiring out of the way down here. There's 1, 2, and 3. So now the whole motor unit should lift out. It's a little tight in terms of the access holes, so it's a little bit of twisting and jiggling to get it out. Okay, so there's the lid off. And then the whole motor unit can now lift out. Okay, here's the motor unit. There are the 3 fixing points. You saw me take the screws out. So the motor is held in position in the middle, and then the turbine things here can rotate, and they do not rotate freely. Okay, so you can see there's a bit of corrosion on the surface of that spindle there. Same at that end. If I pull the brush out the way, the brush is out the way, the motor doesn't rotate any more freely, so it's those bushings. So I want to try and get some lubrication down in them. Right, okay, I'm going to give it a blast through with the compressor. Right, okay, let's get some penetrating oil down in there, down into that bushing. On that end, and let's try the same the other end. Yeah, and that's spinning much freer now, better than it was. So I guess it's a case of just keep working that until it frees up better. Okay, right, I can't get the teat of my oil down to the bearing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct a screwdriver down to the bearing and then run the oil down the screwdriver. Let's do this end now. Okay, now it's really tricky to oil. You can only oil that side of that bearing, or rather the end of the motor that's got the brushes. You can kind of get to both sides of the bearing. Okay, you can take it from that side and from that side, but the opposite end of the motor you can get to the outboard side of the bearing, but you can't get to the inboard side of the bearing. So I've passed a bit of pipe down through the motor and I've directed it, can you see, towards the bearing, and I'm going to try and fire some oil down there. Right, well that's about all I can do really. It definitely spins better than it did. How much longer that will last for, I don't know. I think ultimately I'm going to have to replace this, for no other reason than it seems like the bearings are not working as good as they should. Although look, that's much better. So I'm going to fit it back in the vehicle and see how I get on. Right, okay, so that's that all oiled up as best as I can. So let's see if let's fit it back in, see what difference it makes. Let's get the cable out of the way. Motor literally just drops in there. Then we take the cover. Right, okay, that's the cover back in. Just got to reconnect up all of the cables and put the screws in. I did disconnect this wire. This wire goes to this unit at the front here. That's your recirculation valve. So let's get that one back on. That goes underneath. Yeah. That's in. Okay, then you've got your main power cable. Let's connect that on. Then we've got our relay unit, which as mine is showing some signs of heat damage. I'm hoping now that I've lubricated up those bearings there won't be so much of a strain on it, but I'll keep an eye on that. You know when it's going wrong because you get a burning plastic smell in the vehicle. So let's connect, let's clip that back into place first. Like so. Put the power lead back onto that. Okay, next just a question of putting the through Torx bolts, screws back into position. Okay, let's do the front screw. Okay, now for putting the tray back in. Secret to doing this is this front section along here, you need to lift that up a bit, like so. Slide the unit back as far as it will go. Jiggle it around like that. There we go, the front has to go right the way down. You need the back up at this point though. Okay, that will sit flush. Flat panel drops back down. Put your screws back in there. Bungs back in. Okay, the dash is all back together now. Right, let's have a try of this. Let's put the key back in the ignition. And we'll go first. Yep, definitely there. Second. Yep. Third. And fourth and fifth. And there's no more squeal anymore. Okay, so time will tell whether I've lubricated that mechanism enough to stop the relay from getting strained. Okay, if I have any further problems from this point on, I will have to replace that sort of turbine motor unit, which I think is about 45 to 50 pounds, so it's not the end of the world. Well, there you go guys, there is the dashboard fan on my Vito W639, tinkered around with yet again. It might only be a temporary fix this time. I might have to bite the bullet and get a replacement motor. But please pay particular attention to those relay units. If they're continuously burning out on you, it's probably due to the motor, but also do check your cabin filter, because if the fan is trying to suck in air through a dirty filter, puts more strain on it and you'll burn out the thermal fuse on the relay. So fingers crossed I'm alright for a while. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe and check out some of my other videos. See you later, bye bye.